Hi, I'm Bridget and welcome back to another short 10-minute yoga stretch. This is going to be a nice, gentle stretch. So really good for the days when you feel like you don't have a lot of time, but you want to get in some movement, or you're just feeling like a little bit more of a gentle stretch. So we're going to get started with our half butterfly. So sending the right leg out to the side at about a 45-degree angle, keeping that left foot in nice and close. And then we're going to turn the upper body to face that right foot, draw the right toes back towards you, and then just gently fold forward over that right leg. Rounding through the upper body, relaxing through the head and the neck and the shoulders. Just letting the hands rest wherever feels comfortable. Closing down the eyes if that feels comfortable, or just softening the gaze. And starting to lengthen the breath, taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And exhale, let it out through the nose. Breathing into the back of that right leg. And then gently we're going to roll it back up to seated. So walking the hands back in towards you, rolling up from the base of the spine and letting the head and the neck come up last. Take your time to get there, and then we'll take it over to the other side. So we'll send the left leg out to the side this time, and then draw the right foot in towards us. Getting nice and tall through the spine, and then shifting the upper body to face towards that left foot. And then we start to round forward over the left leg. Nice and active through those left toes again, so drawing them back towards you. Letting the hands rest down towards your mat. Relaxing the head and the neck. Relaxing through the shoulders, and then coming back to the breath. Closing down the eyes if you haven't already. Maybe just taking a moment to check in with how you feel at the beginning of your practice here. And then when you're ready, we'll gently make our way back up to seated. Walk the hands back in and let the head come up last. And then before we move from here, we're going to take another little stretch of the legs. So sending both legs out in front of you, and again, getting nice and tall through the spine. If you start to feel like you're rolling back through the hips, you might like to grab a cushion, a block, or a book to sit up onto to give you a little bit more space. You can also bend the knees here to give yourself a little bit more space, and it might make the stretch feel a little bit more gentle, so you can adjust as you need to. So getting nice and tall through the spine, drop the shoulders away from the ears, and then again we just round the upper body forward over the legs. Relax the head, relax the shoulders. Nice and soft through the arms, and again you can keep that nice little bend, or you might like to try straightening the legs. Not locking the knees here, so we've got at least a little micro bend here just to protect the joints. And coming back to the breath. Seeing if you can lengthen your inhale. Breathing slowly. And then nice long exhale. And then we'll gently come back up to seated, just as we did before. Head comes up last, and then we're going to make our way through our tabletop, so onto the hands and knees just for a moment as we make our way to our low lunge. So we're going to step the right foot forward between the hands. You might need to come up onto the fingertips, or if you've got some blocks to lift the hands up onto, just adjust as you need to and take your time to get there. We step the right foot forward between the hands, and then you can tuck those left toes under to protect that back knee a little bit more. So you can stay up here on the fingertips, maybe just rocking a little bit side to side here. Opening up through heart space, so roll the shoulders away from the ears and send the heart space forward. Opening up through the chest. You might like to try lifting the fingertips away from your mat, making sure not to crash into the lower back. So you might need to press into that right leg a little bit so that you can tuck the tailbone under here. Then maybe you'd like to try reaching the hands up and overhead. Nice and active through the core here. And then bringing the hands back down to the mat if you haven't got them there already. And then before we move from this side, we're going to take a twisted quad stretch. So we're going to plant the left palm and then start to reach back with the right hand. And you might just stay here reaching back, or you might start to lift that left foot away from the mat a little bit, and you might not be able to lift that left foot away, so maybe just staying here reaching. Maybe you can lift it a little bit, or maybe you can catch a hold of that left foot and then draw it in towards the glutes. Start to roll that right shoulder back. This can feel like quite an intense stretch, so just see where you're at today. Practicing meeting the body where it's at, not judging anything. And then we'll unravel, so bringing that left foot back down to the mat. If you haven't got it there already, we bring the right hand back and then step the left knee back to meet the right. You might like to stretch the legs out behind you before we take it to the other side, maybe taking a couple of circles of the hips. And again, just noticing how you feel, maybe noticing how you feel on the right side compared to the left. And then when you're ready, we're going to take it to the other side. So again, you might like to come up onto the fingertips and walk the hands forward just a little bit so that you've got space to step that left foot between the hands. Tuck the right toes under for a little bit more support, and then find space through the chest. So roll the shoulders back and away from the ears. Careful not to crash into the fingertips, so staying nice and light. We come back to the breath. Maybe rocking a little side to side. So finding a little bit of movement. And then you might like to try lifting the fingertips away from your mat. And then maybe reaching them all the way up and overhead. Again, just careful not to crash into the lower back. You might need to press back a little bit so you can tuck the tailbone under. And then we'll exhale the hands back down to the mat. We'll take that quad stretch on this side now. So we'll plant the right palm and then start to reach back towards that right foot with the left hand, and you might just stay here reaching. Maybe you can lift the foot a little bit away from the mat, and maybe we're just reaching. Maybe you can take a hold of that right foot and draw it in towards you. You might also notice that this side or one side feels a little different from the other. You might have a different range of motion or strength on one side. Just being where you're at today. And then we'll release that right foot back down. Bring the left hand back to frame that left foot, and then we bring the left knee back to meet the right, and maybe stretch those legs out behind. Draw a couple of circles with the knees, opening up through the hips. Check in with how you feel again here. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way all the way back to lie down. So I'm going to come through seated by crossing one foot over the other, back through seated, and then finding your way back to lie down. And before we close our practice, we'll take a reclined pigeon. So just crossing the right foot over the front of that left knee and interlacing the hands behind that left leg, and then drawing both legs in towards you. See if you can energetically press that right knee open a little bit more. It will deepen the stretch. Again, not forcing anything, just being where you're at. Nice and active through the toes, so draw the toes back towards the knees. Relax the shoulders. Close down the eyes if you haven't already. And then we'll unravel, bring the feet back to the mat and take it to the other side. So crossing the left foot in front of the right knee this time. Interlace the hands, we draw the legs in towards us. Nice and active through those toes again. Relaxing anywhere that you don't need to be holding. Press that left knee away from you. And then slowly we'll unravel, bring the feet back down to the mat, and we'll make our way to our Shavasana. So sending the legs out nice and long. Hands come out to either side, taking a moment to get comfortable, get out any little wiggly movements. If you need to stretch anywhere else, or if you would like to build onto this practice, then you can do that now. Otherwise, finding stillness in your Shavasana, closing down the eyes and letting the breath return to normal. Giving yourself permission to take up space here. And just knowing that you are exactly where you need to be right now. If you would like to stay in your Shavasana for a little while longer, then you can pause the video here. Otherwise, we'll close our practice together. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice today, and I hope you have an amazing day or night ahead of you. I'm looking forward to seeing you for your next practice. Namaste.